Welcome back to the Let's Talk Show. My name is Sivan Nair, and once again, I have a lot to talk about today. So, of course, the Let's Talk Show is available on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you stream your podcast. And now it's even available on X. Every episode will be streamed on X as well. Just want to get that out of the way. But, anyways, Season 1, Episode 5 of the Let's Talk Show. Today, I have a lot of segments from sports to the health of Americans, LeBron versus Jordan debate, March Madness, a lot to cover. So once again, my name is Steven Nair. Season 1, Episode 4 of the Let's Talk Show begins now. Okay, starting off this segment, first segment, I haven't really talked about a lot of things other than sports because, of course, I was running a sports podcast. Now I'm running a podcast that basically talks about everything. So a lot of people have basically told me that I'm a nutrition enthusiast. A nutrition enthusiast. I love learning about nutrition, just learning about fitness in general. And, I've learned a lot about it and kind of want to do something with it. I want to start my own company one day, my own nutrition meal prepping, meal plan. But a main topic that people have asked me is, why do you think we have so much obesity in America? We have one of the highest obesity rates in the world. And what can we do to solve this obesity problem? There's a lot to unpack on the subject, and obesity has become the main problem in America, and it's become so big of a problem that now we have other countries basically stereotype us that the one thing that we're known for is obesity. Obesity is a big problem, and it's a terrible problem. What are my opinions on obesity? A lot of people, and I'm going to say this in the most respectful manner as possible, a lot of people on social media and on other platforms that are obese, they say that being obese is a good thing and you have to love your body. They say that you have to love your body even if you're obese. I have to respectfully disagree with that. Being obese is a big problem. Being overweight is a big problem, but being obese is a factor that can lead to chronic disease, a lot of chronic disease, and a lot of issues, diabetes, heart attacks, just very terrible things in your health that can impact you to where it's going to take off years of your life. What can we do to solve this? Here are the statistics. 1 in 3 men are obese in the United States. 1 in 4 women are obese in the United States. In the 1960s, 5% of the population was obese. Now more than 20% is obese. That's a 20% jump basically in the last 60 years. What can we do to solve this problem? First of all, what we need to do is we need to accept the fact that being obese is not a good thing. Being obese, I mean, some people might have genetically rare issues where they're obese or they're taking some sort of medication to remedy some other problem that makes them gain weight or whatever. Let's put that aside. Most of the population who's obese is obese for one reason, just because they're fat. And people have to realize that. I'm not going to talk about what's going on at the Department of Health right now because there's some things I agree with, there's some things that I disagree with. I'm going to leave politics aside because I just don't want to talk about that right now. But what can we do to remedy this problem? First of all, we have to educate our young folks, our young children, such as me, that on how to eat healthy. And that's going to be very difficult because most of these huge corporate brands, like cereal brands, soda brands, Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, brands in general, these big food brands that are heavily producers of mass food products that most kids eat on a day-to-day basis, if not more than a day-to-day basis, what people are eating in their lives. Basically, the average American child gets up in the morning, eats cereal in some sort of sugary form. It's going to be some sort of dish that is high in sugar and high in unhealthy fats, monounsaturated and polysaturated fats. And those are the fats that are found in seed oils. Seed oils are also heavily present among American society. If you go to a country, I was in Great Britain a few months ago, and I have this app called Seed Oil Scout, and you could just tell that the kitchens are much cleaner. The oils they use are much better for you. I'm talking coconut avocado oil, and butter, if you consider that an oil. And people there are just much more fit. We have to educate our young folks that eating poorly, eating heavily processed foods are not what you should be doing. I'm not saying that all processed foods are bad. Ideally, you would want to, for every American, follow the 80-20 rule, which is 80% real food from whole foods like eggs, fruit, meat, etc., vegetables, etc., and then 20% coming from, some processed foods or something, like a little snack or dessert once in a while, cheat meal once in a while. But other than that, we have to educate our young children that being healthy is important. We need to educate them that, number one, seed oils are bad for you. High monounsaturated and polysaturated fats that are unhealthy fats, and that can cause many problems in your body. Number two, we have to limit the refined sugar consumption. We have to basically, I think it's at the end of the day, it's going to come down to health enthusiasts, doctors, people in the medical world versus the big corporate companies. Because the big corporate companies, and they did this starting in the 1980s, first of all, they made that huge food chain, which basically put bread, complex carbs, just carbs in general, and bad fats at the top of the food chain, and some meats like red meat at the bottom. And then we basically have to just educate them. Say, number one, you have to just get a good amount of protein per day. Number two, you have to get all your vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin K, vitamin D in general, and just learn how to basically teach them how to be healthy. I think there should be a course, maybe in high school or maybe in college, that people can take. How to live your life and be healthy. The course will feature nutritionists from the best places in the country. And I just think we have to educate the young folks that being healthy, food is power. This is what I like to say. Food is power. Food can change your life. If you're eating terribly, you're going to have these mood spikes because your glucose and your insulin are going to be spiking. And then you're going to feel tired, and then you're not going to be happy with your body and stuff like that. Some people are depressed just because of the way they look. People are depressed just because they're fat or they're too skinny. And once they get into shape, their life changes. Food is power. In the 1960s, McDonald's and big fast food corporations were frying their food in beef tallow, which is a healthier alternative to seed oils. And that's another reason why obesity was at its lowest in modern history at that time. People also limited their food consumption. They ate healthy. They just ate real foods. We didn't have these big corporations back in the day. If you look at it, obesity only started to spike when big corporations like Kellogg's, just cereal brands in general, big soda brands like Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, big food chains like Domino's, etc. All these big corporate brands started to just pop up in America. And then as more corporate brands and as these corporate brands, these fast food industry and this processed food industry got bigger and bigger, what also got bigger? The people in the United States of America. 5% obesity rate in the 1960s spiked to a 25% obesity rate currently in 2025. Guess what also spiked? The amount of fast food chains, the amount of heavily processed foods found in grocery stores and basically everywhere in this country, and more. So we have to recognize that. If I was president of the United States, if I was in charge of health in this country, what I would do is I would develop a team of doctors and dietitians and nutritionists, and I would take that team to every single high processed food manufacturing factory and corporation in America. These fast food industry corporations, their headquarters. I'm going to ask them a few questions. I'll basically just conduct a federal investigation. If I was the head of the Department of Health, I would conduct a federal investigation. Actually, not a federal investigation, an investigation by the department myself. Have doctors, nutritionists, and dietitians basically inspect all these corporate food brands in America and basically see what they're feeding to children and our citizens. Because I guarantee you, If we eliminated seed oils or reduced them significantly, we decreased our significant refined sugar consumption, and we decreased, the amount of candy, the amount of pastries, the amount of processed food in general. America would be a lot healthier, and people would be feeling better mentally and physically, because it also has a huge mental impact. Your cognitive function. America would be better if America was healthy again. That's what we need to do. We need to do. It's gonna take a long time for that to happen. And now, past few years, we've been seeing this, revolutions, nutrition fitness revolution in the for young people, mostly in their teens and their 20s, realizing that, hey, whole foods are better than ultra processed foods. Going to the gym every day, doing some form of cardio and strength, conditioning, stretching, taking care of your body in general makes you better mentally and physically. And once you have that down, people are, number one, going to respect you more. You're just going to have even more success in life in other things, whether you're a lawyer, a doctor, a business person, whatever your profession is. If you're in shape, if you eat well and you feel good mentally and physically, your life is going to be 100% better. Okay, let's get into a debate that many people, I've debated this for the past 10 years, LeBron versus Jordan. Pretty simple debate. But I believe that it's utterly absurd for people to still think that Michael Jordan is to go when you look at the greatness of LeBron James. First of all, let's state out the obvious. LeBron James, of course, he's the all-time leading scorer with 39,225 points. Jordan is only 7,000 points behind him. And then you have to look at the fact that LeBron is also an elite playmaker. Assists, rebounds, he's an all-around player. His defense, he could have won Defensive Player of the Year 1 or 2 years. And he led 3 different franchises to championships. Okay, the main reason why LeBron James is the GOAT is because, number one, he has 4 championships. One of those championships being against the 2016 Warriors, which is the best team, best team in NBA history from a regular season record perspective. And then you beat the San Antonio Spurs in 2012 or 2013. That team was loaded with Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Kawhi Leonard. You beat the Oklahoma City Thunder with an elite Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook in 2012. Another team that was very, very tough to beat after the season they had that year. And then you won in the bubble. The Heat might have not been the best team you went up against, comparing your other finals appearances. But at the same time, you have to recognize that the bubble was a secluded place where they didn't have their family around, they didn't have their children around, they didn't have their friends around, they had no one but themselves, and they were basically in a hotel with 15 other NBA teams. How hard was that? Being in Disney World by yourself for 2 months. That's hard. I would never want to do that. Disney World's overrated, by the way. Getting that aside, Jordan. Let's look at Jordan. 91, you played Magic. Magic, he was old. The Lakers, they were old, a rundown team. Easy. That was an easy win for Chicago. Plus, you had Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen also plays a huge factor into this. I'll get into that later. 92, Charles Barkley. That was basically it. Number 3, 93, Portland. Or, sorry, I got the years mixed up. Portland 92, 93, Phoenix. Drexler, easy to beat. 96, you retire, you take that 2-year baseball gap. The one thing I can say that was impressive for Jordan is he took 2 years from basketball, he came back, and he made a big impact. 96, a year after he came back, basically, he win the championship again against Seattle. 97, you win the championship against Utah back-to-back years. Those were hard. I can say that those were hard. Against Malone and Stockton in a hostile environment, you were sick one of those games, but you had Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen, he led the Bulls to the playoffs in his 2 years, in the Michael Jordan 2-year absence when he went to play baseball. Michael Jordan doesn't have that longevity. Scottie Pippen carried that team at some point in time. If Michael Jordan not have Scottie Pippen, let alone Dennis Rodman, he would never have won those championships. LeBron, look what he did. He came to the league in 2003. He made a huge impact, averaged 20.9 points per game that year. 4 years later, he's 22 years old. He's 22 years old, and he leads a team with a bunch of mediocre players. I'm going to call them mediocre players. To the NBA championship. People say, oh my God, he lost them. No, he played against the San Antonio Spurs with the young Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Greg Popovich on that team, who was already experienced. They already won, I believe, 3 other championships prior to that. So how do you expect him to win that after that improbable finals run? They should not have even with the help he had. He had no help. He had literally no help on his team. Most great players, if you take LeBron out of that team and you just put another great player of all time, I don't care if it's Kobe, Jordan, Kevin Durant, Curry, they're not going to take that team to the finals. And LeBron did. Of course, he had his infamous 2010 decision where the whole city of Cleveland disowned him, blah, blah, blah. He went to Miami. He goes to Miami, and I think that version, the Miami Heat version of LeBron, second best of LeBron's career. I think when he went back to Cleveland, his second stint, that was the best of his career so far. Goes to Miami, he has a disappointing season at first, but then in 2012, what happens? He makes it a championship, gets a job delivered. Plus, he had prior to that Eastern Conference Finals Game 7 before he made it to the finals. He had that amazing Game 7. You win in 2012. You win back-to-back in 2013. Pretty hard finals, I can say. I also have to recognize that he had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh there. Those two definitely played a factor. You had Ray Allen. If Ray Allen never been that shot, they would never have won. That plays a factor there. Those are his two least impressive championships. You lose the championship. Again, now you've been to 4 championships. You've won 2, lost 4. You lost 3 and won 2, so you've been to 5 by 2014. 2015, he goes to the championship. Again, he goes back to Cleveland to fulfill his promise to bring the championship to the city of Cleveland. And makes it to the championship, but loses to the 2015 Warriors, which no one really knew how to play against in that season because no one's seen a team who can shoot that many threes, who has 2 elite three-point shooters in Curry and Thompson, who can move off the ball and Curry. No one knew how to defend Steph Curry, let alone the whole Golden State Warriors game plan that year. 2016 was down 3-1 in the finals. Came back. 3-1. First NBA team in the playoffs to be down 3-1. Come back in the finals. Then he wins that, brings the championship to his homeland, basically. 17, it gets back. That's with Kevin Durant. How do you expect him to win against Kevin Durant? It was him and Kyrie versus KD, Clay, Draymond, and Steph in their prime. Plus, let alone their amazing depth. And Steve Kerr, one of the best coaches of all time. 2018, you don't have Kyrie anymore, but they still made it to the championship. And that 2018 was the best version of LeBron we've ever seen. The way he played in the playoffs, the 2018 playoffs, amazing. 2019, he goes to Los Angeles. Of course, he injures his groin and stuff and missed the playoffs. 2020, get Anthony Davis. You get some pieces around him. Number 1 seed in the West. But what happens? The NBA shuts down. COVID-19 happens, and then they send you to Disney World in Florida. You just stay at a hotel with 15 other NBA teams for 2 months and try to win a championship. That's awfully hard. You don't have any support. You don't have any home court advantage, and he gets the job done. And now he breaks the all-time scoring record. He's beneficial off the court. He's beneficial, and he can move without the ball. He's the most versatile player of all time. He can play any position. He can play the point guard position. He can shoot the ball. He can play center. Who knows? He can do that. LeBron, his longevity, he's 40 years old. Look at the season he's having right now. There's no case for Michael Jordan to be the GOAT. I know he has 6 championships, but because of what I just listed that LeBron James has, Michael Jordan wasn't doing anything at 40. He was playing for the Washington Wizards, for crying out loud. LeBron, look what he's doing. Averaging more than 20 points per game. Leading his team, basically. Impacting them off the court. Leading his team in assists. Blah, blah, blah. I can keep going on and on. There's so many statistics that people are going to look at in 20 years and be like, oh my God, how can any human possibly do this? End of debate. Hey everybody, once again, thank you for listening to Season 1, Episode 5 of the Let's Talk Show. I would really appreciate it if you commented down below on the comment section on Spotify or YouTube, or if you're watching a video on Instagram or X. Please comment what you would want me to talk about more, whether it's from sports or whether it's something else in the world. Thank you.